It's okay, babe. It happens to everyone. It's time for the Bennington Show, the only father-daughter radio show in the history of radio. Happy National Impotence Day. Celebrate by buying some off-brand Viagra and Cialis from Tamu. I'm E. Douglas, a.k.a. ED. It's Ron Bennington. Gail Bennington. The Bennington Show.
Well, my mind is going through them changes. I feel just like committing a crime. Every time you see me going somewhere, I know I'm going out of my mind, yeah. Oh, my baby, she left me the other day, and we were having a lot of fun. Oh, she knew I just love her so, and that's the reason why she had to run. So right, you know what I mean? So right, what I said.
Yeah, buddies. It's Valentine's Day. We're the Bennington Show, the only father-daughter radio show in the history of radio. I'm Gail Bennington.
I'm Ron Bennington. I hope everyone enjoys this second tier holiday. You know, it's not one of the majors,
No,
but it hangs around every year, you know.
doesn't go away.
Yeah. Chris has some big plans with his lady tonight.
Ooh.
Very romantic.
Where are you going out to
Evening.
eat?
Romantic
A
dinner.
little pre-feast somewhere?
Can't get anything else on this day.
Yes. Everybody loves to have that, right? Like, you get one choice of an appetizer. There's 2 different entrees you can choose between, and we recommend a heart-shaped cupcake.
I'll take it.
And I'll be having the fish.
I'll just have fish because I don't eat much, you know? Chris is like, give me the beefsteak.
I want beef.
Chris, you'll be bloated by the end of the night.
Earl,
the difference?
Chris, do you get a little present?
Maybe a little flowers, Ron. I don't want to say that
Oh. Now, are they delivered or you just picked them up at the bodega on the way home?
to you. In between, Ron, you pick them up at the florist.
Oh, okay.
Okay, a little halfway in between. So a nice florist. What do you do? What kind of, do you know, like, does she have a specific flower she likes, or you just do like, it's Valentine's Day, roses?
No lilies. I know that for sure. No lilies.
Because you used to go out with Lily that starts a bunch of
Oh
stuff.
my God.
No.
She doesn't like the scent? Too floral? Mm-hmm.
Earl, are you taking your right hand out tonight for a little buff and run?
There will
And
be no buffing tonight.
Earl, what will you be getting your mom today?
Oh.
I haven't really actually thought about it. But
Oh, my God.
She loves daffodils, doesn't she?
she loves daffodils and what's the other one? Roses, daffodils, and lilies.
Why don't he just said
He
lilies
just
because we
said
brought
lilies
it
and
up. Why don't you
roses
do this,
and
Earl?
daffodils.
Pick up a card that says "Happy Valentine's" from your bad son.
She'll know which one.
She'll know exactly who it is. It is a. I think when you're a certain age, obviously Chris is past the pressure age of this situation, but when you're like early 20s, you have to start rethinking about Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Because, you know, do I send flowers to her office? Is the stupid chocolate not enough? Do I need something more than that?
Right. And you want to be like, do you want to be unique, but you don't want to lose any of the major traditions? Like, you don't want her to go, okay, but like, I do like flowers. Like, everyone got flowers.
Yeah, but I got you a bucket of peaches, and I know how delicious they
peaches.
are.
Bite one. Look how juicy it is.
They're shaped like an ass, but they're as juicy as a pussy. Peaches, the perfect Valentine's gift.
I
Chris,
like,
why don't you Netflix and chill tonight?
Oh, I know what that
Yeah.
means, Ron. That's code.
yeah. But you fall
let's
asleep
go to the
during
joke.
the Netflix and you forget to chill is the problem.
You get sleepy.
I don't want to take ourselves off holiday talk, but I did watch the Flowers of the Killer Moon, which, by the way, I still don't understand the title. And I went for the full trip, the full marathon. I did it all.
Oh my God, you didn't break it up?
No.
Strong.
How was that experience?
Well, I mean, when it started, I'm like, well, this is shot kind of beautifully and cool. And when he got that big hat from her, I'm like, oh, there's something going on between these two. But as time, I've never seen a story told that way before. Like, we know more than the natives knew, right?
Right.
And then we're wondering why they're so stupid. You're like,
Right.
how
Most
are
of the
these
time-
men not standing up for everybody?
Right. At any given point, we would just get furious, me and my husband watching it, and just be like this. Yeah, but she's got to put 2 and 2 together here, right? Like, these native women are dropping like flies, and surely somebody's going to question. And then we would go, but she knows about his connection to the murders, but she's okay with what's going on here?
Yeah,
Like,
she seemed very bizarre.
she was very
seemed-
strange.
I mean, right up until almost the last minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, only one thing ever made her mad, and that's the little concoction that he put together. But so that was odd.
Yes.
And I also thought, and I also heard that if you read the book, you didn't know, so you were shocked.
That would be
in the
great.
book.
That would be great. This is how I took it. This was my feelings, is that I stuck with it because I kept thinking, well, I can tell this is a fascinating story. If somebody laid this out for me, just as a pitch, I go, oh, I could see how that would be a great movie. And therefore, my problem was the directing, the way the story was told, and most of the acting. I thought Leo was so distracting in this movie. De Niro was good. I feel like for him, like, you know, the last few roles we've seen him in, I certainly thought he was good. I liked the female lead, but Leo was very distracting in this role. I don't think him and Scorsese are good for each other.
Oh no, they're bad for each other. But I blame it more on Scorsese now than I ever did before, because he actually had been bragging that we were just going to do something. Starting with the detective work at the last third, right?
Right.
But we wanted to make it about the native people. Well, you didn't. You made it about the white people.
They 100% did. Yes, this was from the white perspective. We followed the villain, essentially. I wouldn't even call him the anti-hero or anything like that. He was just the villain, and we followed him and his story. And we ended it on the white perspective.
Right. The weakest villain ever.
Yes.
But the very end of it, of what they did, where Marty was actually in it, was offensive and
Agreed.
proved that
Agreed.
this thing is just a story to you. It's just a story. You're not connecting to how horrible this thing is.
Right. And like I said, the fact that the history of this thing is something I was not aware of, hearing the story kind of laid out before me, I could see how this could make it, and therefore I have to only blame the directing as mismanaging storytelling throughout this whole thing. And I thought, remember I had mentioned to you there were moments, especially early in the film, where the music he put in was like modern, like out of nowhere. It's just like electric guitar, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, just stop. You know what I mean? Like, just stop.
I don't want to blame that because that's Robbie. You know what I mean?
I know,
That's
but
his
it was
last thing.
But I felt like the situation was like, it was more like he works with the people he wants to work with. He doesn't serve the story. You know what I mean?
Right.
He does the projects he wants to do. And I get why that would make sense for him to want to work with him on this, but it like it's the same as putting Leo in every movie that you're in because you want to work with Leo, if whether or not he fits in the role.
What's the lead actress's name that they say is a shoe-in?
I don't know her name.
I was prepared to be very hard on her. She was going to be my Mongo McMichael of today. And No, she's good.
She's good.
She's really good.
And probably because she probably has some sort of deep emotional connection to the story. There was subtlety in her performance. She was quiet and thoughtful. She was a mystery to us as the viewer. For the majority of the film, we were trying to figure her out. And Leo's character we knew exactly what was up. And in fact, I would say if somebody were to read this script, you would have to say to someone, hey, if he's motivated by money, you don't need to have a character say 4 different times in the movie, well, I love money. And we're like, I get it. That's going to be the motivator of the whole film. But I don't know if he thought that was funny that he keeps saying it, but it just didn't make sense.
But
I don't want to
he
nitpick
also wasn't spending his money in any life-changing way.
No, that
That's
was the
was
weird
annoying to me. You know what I mean? Like, what do you love this money for? And we didn't get it. You can see some people like to live the high life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Diamond rings, Gucci handbags.
Mm-hmm. He didn't have any of that.
Mike, what's up?
I love the show. And
Yeah,
I'm a big history buff, particularly Native American. And the movie was just too long. But, I think it was about 6 months ago, y'all did a real good interview with Jason Isbell.
Yeah.
And for a singer-songwriter, I thought he was a pretty good actor.
I thought that his performance felt very real. He was one of the few performances in the film that I felt like that person just was the character, and I just let it be and I let it breathe, and I thought that he did a good job in it, for sure.
But I will also say this, there wasn't enough of him.
Agreed.
There wasn't enough of him where I didn't know if he was one of them or not one of them because there wasn't enough story on him.
Right. So, like, in the end, he had a similar motivation but wasn't working along with them. Similar game plan, perhaps, but not working with him. But, yeah, I liked any time he was on screen, the female lead when she was on screen. I'll tell you who I didn't like, and I shouldn't complain because he was so short in the movie. But when the whale showed up, I was so annoyed.
Hilarious.
And so irritated.
That was the comic relief that I needed.
I mean, I was like, is this for real? Like, this is how you're delivering this line? And then Scorsese says, cut, let's move on to the next scene. This is awful. Like, his very short scenes was so beyond over the top.
It was probably 600 takes.
Not only was he in a different movie, but he was in a different Broadway play. Like, he was playing for the back of the room that he did not need to do.
Insane. Absolutely
nuts.
Insane. And once again, proving that the guy, again, I hate to say it, but he's the Mongo McMichael of last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where we're all supposed to like him at the same time, even though I don't think we did before.
Right.
No. He was a joke. He was a meme. He was Encino Man. He was a caveman.
Okay, Chris. You're making a case against
That
him
was a
over the
movie. That was a movie that we all enjoyed.
That's true.
I hated it, and while everyone says like that it was too long is the problem, that's just one of the problems. Like, if it was a shorter movie, but he still approached it the way he did, it still would be a bad movie to me.
Also, it's not like they were using that to really teach us what this life was like on the reservation.
No, nothing.
I particularly hated any scenes with the men because it looked like they didn't know how to stand up to anything. And I
know.
I wouldn't have expected that out of natives.
And could you imagine if you took this same story, did it from the perspective of the sisters, and it be like this unraveling of what is happening, that these tragedies are happening in their family and they have to figure it out? That sounds like a good movie. Do that. Instead of just hey, let's put Leo in the center, as per usual, and put him in very weird teeth, very distracting teeth that I couldn't stop looking at him working his mouth over these giant fake teeth. And I was thinking to myself, did Scorsese see a picture of this actual guy and went, he had big teeth. Leo needs big teeth. We don't know what he looks like, and it doesn't matter to us. The teeth are distracting. Forget the teeth.
And for all the people who are like, oh, okay, you got to read the book. I'm not going to now.
Yeah,
You know
now
what I mean?
it's spoiled for me.
It hasn't made me more curious. It's made me less curious.
Yeah, because anything I would have experienced reading that book has been ruined now.
Right.
I'm sure it was a good book, but not now. Not for me.
Thanks, Marty.
Then the fact that Calvin Coolidge was in the movie for 8 seconds and we didn't even really get his face.
No, it really was. And I think I would agree that the end of this film was like the narcissism of the end of the film and the just mismanagement of perspective. I can't believe it's nominated for Best Picture. I can't believe he's nominated for Best Director.
Also, so you
this
got...
work.
You had Jesse Plemons coming into town, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. But then suddenly there's just a ton of those detectives.
Right.
And Jesse doesn't seem to be running it. You know what I mean? Like, he basically was like an extra who got there first.
This is another, from a storytelling perspective, let's just say, because Hollywood works the way it does, we have to have a white male lead for this movie. Why not put it in that character's perspective of figuring out the story? If you have to, if you simply must, if you will not put, any
Well, that
Native
was
American
the original. That was the original script, and Leo was going to play that guy. He was going to come in as a G-man, trying to
Yeah.
figure out this cover-up and what was going on, and have the natives explain it to him. This is happening, that is happening, and then Marty's like, "No, that would be wrong. That would be white-splaining again. So I'm going to make it much longer." And really not tell any of the native story at all. Like why they couldn't figure this out on their own.
Yeah.
Supposedly, if you read it, you were like, but these guys seem so nice and helpful,
Really,
And they were
yeah.
demons,
Right.
But we could see that they were demons from jump. From the
Immediately.
first, yeah.
Immediately, they have De Niro just lay out, hey, here's this bad thing we've been doing. You want to get in on this bad thing? And he said, well, I like money.
I
then
do
that
like
was it.
money.
Okay, great. Well, we know what this is about then.
Earl, did you see the movie?
I'm about an hour into it. I'm watching it in intervals,
What intervals are you watching?
like in 1 hour intervals, because it's a 3.5 hour movie.
Right. I watched 3.5 hours, had no problem with it. I feel like you should be able to do the same. You see yourself as a professional critic from Rolling Stone magazine.
He loves movies. He says he loves movies, at least.
Earl, what was the last great movie Scorsese made?
For me, The Departed.
For all of us. What?
The Departed.
Departed's not a great movie. It's like a TV movie. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about, like, not having a giant, of being so on the nose that here's this undercover guy, the same time as that undercover guy. And we'll keep going back and forth to see. And then it ends with a rat crawling across to let you know that guy ratted.
Right.
I mean, I thought it was it was one of those things I'm going to say was a fun watch, but you wouldn't look at it the way you would look at Scorsese's best films,
No, I agree. I like Pretend It's a City. Does that count? Or we're only saying...
No, that's cheating.
Okay.
Surprise!
Then it's
Roland
gonna
say
be a
Wolf of
while
Wall
back.
Street.
Because he got involved. He's like Apatow, where he's doing the Stones thing, He's doing something on the hoop, but is it? Is he really doing these documentaries? Or is he around these documentaries?
Man, it's a while back. You got to go.
It's the
until
90s.
You're like,
It's
yeah.
the 90s, gal.
What 90s? 1990 or beyond?
I'd say Casino. I'm a Casino fan.
You're going to say Casino is a great film.
It's
A great film is Goodfellas, right?
That's
Yes.
How does
1990.
And how does Casino match up to Goodfellas?
It is
This is all the guys from Goodfellas. And why didn't he use Ray Liotta? Why did he use James Woods instead?
That's a really
And then
good
when
point.
Ray Liotta dies, he acts like, I loved Ray Liotta. Really?
He
You didn't
shafted
put him in The
dude, for
Irishman?
like 30 years. So it's been 34 years since he's been.
I'm not saying he
great
shafted him. He just never used them again. He must have had a reason.
Right.
You know, he just never said what it was. But I would say this. I thought, you're going to hate me for this, I thought this movie moved better than Oppenheimer. Both of
God.
them were about a fucking serious subject and told as poorly as you possibly can.
Going to.
No,
if you're
you're
telling
going
me
to.
this movie that obviously worked me up into a rage just now is better than.
Well, I'm not near in the rage as you are about it. Like, I found things to like. Mike and Nola.
Hey, what's going on, Rock God? Hey, I
Hey,
read
what's
the
happening?
book and watched the movie. I think it took
Yeah.
longer to watch the movie than it did to read the book. The book's a fairly short book. The movie was fairly true to the book, but it had more of an emphasis on this is how the FBI was born. And
Right.
Kind of glossed over that a little bit in the movie.
Yeah. When he brings up his, because I think he was just going at the bureau or something, or the federal bureau, but then he mentions his young boss's name.
Me and my wife sat down to watch it. I didn't get to watch it very far because he says he's coming home from the war or something, and he's 40 years old. Like, he's supposed to be 20-something. Sorry, that's my child. He's supposed to be 20.
Aw, hi.
Yeah, your child just took me out of this conversation.
I had the same problem. And by the way, he's 50. Like,
He's 50.
all I just kept thinking was like in Arrested Development. Like, I've just come from Army, mother. Like, I was like, really? What did you do there?
So that would have been World War One, and I don't think.
Was he like a general? I don't know.
And I get
No,
that.
no,
Like,
he was a doughboy.
I get that we have this feeling about Leo as though he is ageless, but I think it is catching up, and I think we do accept his age now. Like, I know he has a baby face, and he always has.
Right. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know whether you picked up on it. So Paul Rudd has been the person that people are looks the same age, and now everyone has decided that he's aged because they call him a Zionist.
Oh my God, is that why? Because I noticed
Yeah.
all this heat. Like, dear God, he's finally looking his age, and I go, I thought we were all accusing him of being a vampire. Now it's just like, boy, he really fell off.
Yuck, Zionist. You're ugly on the inside.
Ew. Man just loves his Chiefs. Get off his dick.
Well, here's the thing. He has no right to that love. He didn't grow up there, did he? Didn't he grow up in like Westchester County or North Jersey?
Oh, I think you're right about that. I did
Because
think
I know
was
he used to
attractive.
run. He used to run those kids parties, whatever it is when you're 13.
He was from
Yeah.
he's from Passaic, New Jersey. So why is he a Chiefs fan? This makes no sense.
Well, here's what doesn't make sense, Chris. You assumed that he had a right to that.
Yeah.
You were like, "Hey, the man loves his Chiefs. No wonder he's a Zionist."
Casey Bourne said.
I have egg on my face yet again.
Can I have some? I'm starving.
It's scrambled.
Why do you
That's
think
fine.
that's bad? Scrambled
That's
egg?
good. I love it scrambled.
Oh.
I mean, if you had egg on your face, scrambled would be the preferred. Less
Yeah.
mess.
Not just a big hunk of yolk hanging down there. Yeah, a lot of people get into teams when they're a little kid. No one knows why. I don't know why. I mean, they're like the Chiefs had something in the 60s, and then it took all the way up until recently before you're like, hey, man, those guys are pretty good. I was thinking, like, there are so many teams not living up to their brand right now. You start with the Cowboys,
Yep.
who are basically thought of as this perfect machine of football, and it's 30 years, and they lose the big ones. And there's even people saying that Jerry Jones only acts like he wants to win a Super Bowl. What he really wants to do is make the money off of his team. It does it. So every time he brings that up, it gets his fan base, fired up, but he's not fired up. The next one I'm going to say is the Raiders. The Raiders in their early days, had the complete bad boy thing down for probably 2 decades. You
And
know what I
didn't
mean?
all the fans kind of did like a very Legion of Doom kind of vibe.
100%. Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
fun and exciting.
Yeah. And now they scare nobody.
No.
All right. So
They're in Vegas.
yeah, those two.
scary.
Well, Vegas is fine. I mean, if anything, Vegas got maybe the best hype of any Super Bowl of all time. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they outcharged everybody by $1 billion. And
Yeah.
still people are complaining about
But
it.
it did seem like an appropriate host. It did make sense.
The people in Vegas are going, well, this place needs a home. You know what I mean? Like the Kentucky Derby, everybody knows where you're going.
Right.
This
That's fucking
every
really good.
different year doesn't make sense. They had more than enough hotel rooms for everybody. Someplace, like when Tampa does it, a lot of people are staying in Fort Myers or Orlando. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Tampa doesn't have enough hotel rooms.
And it's the gambling mecca of the world. And, the NFL fucking owns a book, as you pointed out, Rod.
Thank you, Chris.
It was nice that you credited him, though.
And I would say the only other thing that are they living up to their brand is the Steelers, because they get to the playoffs. You shouldn't complain about a team that gets to the playoffs. But how are you not getting over?
It's been a long time, too.
And
since-
you know what? I may say the same thing about Green Bay. Like, enough, motherfucker. You know what I mean? You won the first 2 Super Bowls, and then you've won 2 since then. And
Yeah.
yet you still love your team like there's no tomorrow.
And they've won those 2 Super Bowls, and with Favre and Rodgers, 2 guys who were fucking amazing on the field, but they only won 1 with each of them.
No. I mean, it's not asking too much if we had said those 2 guys who both played healthy
Yeah.
should have 6 between them.
Easily, but no, just 1 each.
Yeah,
You're
and
right.
They're happy
Packers
with it.
frauds. Why are they happy with it though? I guess because of the past, right? 'Cause
Well,
of
they're already
goddamn-
happy with Jordan Love. They're like, Jordan Love is enough for us.
Is he though, dude? Love? Who knows
He
what's
is.
gonna happen with this kid?
When's the stupid draft going to be? Do we even know when draft is?
Yeah,
Because that's
I'm
the
gonna
next
find
time that fucking ESPN is going to be unlivable to be around.
April 25th is the beginning of the
Oh,
2024
it's too
NFL
soon.
draft.
I feel like we need more of a break than that.
Where's Caleb gonna go? Who's gonna trade up? Who's gonna trade down? It's gonna be crazy, guys.
Now, enough people are already saying Caleb is a bust, but they've been coming back with the number of experts that they've found that said that Mahomes was not even going to make it as a quarterback, let alone go to 4 Super Bowls. Why do we listen? Why do we watch sports television panel screaming bullshit?
There's no reason to, man. It's NPC content. It's just like fill sound in my head, fill images in my face. Because last season, everyone was like CJ Stroud. We don't think he's smart enough to be a quarterback in the NFL, and he tore it up.
It's the same as watching any talking head on a news show or a news pundit reading the polls where they think it's going to go. It's like, yeah, but it won't. And you don't know this. Why
No.
are we
How
listening
about-
to you?
How about all of New York, which is like, 16 million people in a TV market, just get crushed over that little election in Long Island that ended yesterday? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then let me ask you this. Why are we still doing the Earl Douglas says he wants to bring lunches to schools? You know what I mean? They say it the same way now for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But what Earl Douglas doesn't tell you is he has a stupid wife. Earl Douglas claims that he's ready to fix Washington, D.C., but Earl Douglas can't even fix his stupid wife.
What?
Hey, and why do we still fall for it?
Does it work? I guess it must have worked. I don't know, when they first started doing it. Maybe just these hit
I
pieces?
guess it still works. I'm going to say if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like if there's a band that you hate, but they stay big for decades. You're like, there's something there. I can't get to it, but there's something there.
But it's the same thing. It's the same music, the same like dark graphics where it's just
Everything
like,
is the same.
Yeah.
And the same, and they run against each other using the same voice.
Yeah.
Chris Stanley claims that because your pants are always too baggy, baggy pants, Chris Stanley is ready to send this country to hell. But Earl Douglas stays with his wife, no matter how stupid she is.
I love these ads. They're working.
They must. They must work.
They must work. But it does feel like it's a generational thing because it's like, okay, here are the people who are used to this exact type of ad, this exact way to get this information because they've been hearing it their whole lives. Like,
Right.
do you think that those things have an impact on young voters? Like, voters in their late teens, early 20s, do you think that they're like, I saw this ad and it really hit me and now I understand the other candidate?
The only thing that young people care about is vape pens and
Those are cool.
licorice whips. I'll tell you what young voters need is BetterHelp because they're all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I mean, this looks like it was millions and millions of TV time for George Santos' old seat. And George Santos never got involved in anything the whole time he was down there. Just himself and his OnlyFans. When is he charged with something? Is he going to eventually go to jail for all the money he sold, Santos?
I think he's currently in the midst of some charges. I'm gonna check up on that though because I don't want to see him go.
Why?
He's very entertaining.
But I feel like the heat is already off him where people are paying attention. Like a month ago, he was everywhere.
The cycle is fast now. I mean, it was always fast in this country and the way we deal with media, but now it's lightning fast. That we bring someone up, that we crash them down, then we find out what we like about them, and then we forget about them forever. And it's like days long that cycle exists.
Right.
Like, I was thinking about this the other day. It was like, Gypsy Rose is getting out of prison. We love Gypsy Rose. And everybody was like, oh my God, girl, can't wait for you to get out. You know, like, we're so
You killed your
excited for
mom.
you. Yeah, but like, she so deserved it. So, and then, you know, she joins social media. She's like, I'm living my best life. You can't bring me down. That D is fire. And everyone was like, actually, we're done.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know what I mean? Like some negative, comments about her. And now she's just going to be
But
not.
do you
talked
remember when she thought, like, hey, I want to meet Taylor Swift? Like, both of them were on the same level because they were getting press, not
Right.
of the same work that they both did.
Right. You're not peers. But I'm sure that is confusing because you're like, well, everyone's talking about me. And you're like, yeah, but this is only going to last a couple days for you.
They're making memes about you right now. What's the memeage like? I mean, that's the barometer. Also, Santos has been charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, false statements, falsification of records, aggravated identity theft, and credit card fraud.
Those things are fucked up to get in trouble for. All of them.
Yeah.
None of them
All of
good.
them are in trouble for. Also, Brian from South Carolina wants us to know. He goes, if Stanley would have done just a second of research, he would have found out that Paul Rudd went to the University of Kansas.
Okay.
Chris,
Great.
why don't you just keep
He
Googling?
spent 4 years there and then became a Chiefs fan. He's from Jersey.
Yeah, but what's he going to do? A Jets fan? Jets fan, Jets fan. What you going to do?
Chris, I would think that you would understand. That's why you always follow the Purchase Panthers.
Love my Panthers.
Remember when I met the Panther last year at a minor league game and I sent the picture to you guys? Look at why. And what made me laugh is you both knew immediately who it was. Because there was no purchase written on them or anything.
No. It's Perseus.
Great alliteration.
I tried to get him to just put a thumb up, but he said his polls didn't work that way. 'Cause I thought that would have been fun. Hey, you guys both love show business, right?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you're going to hear the term, this was filmed before a live studio audience, what kind of show are you watching?
You're watching a sitcom.
You're watching a sitcom.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing now, but it's going to be a drama. So you're not going to hear the laughs.
Okay.
But every once in a while, you'll just hear,
God. You're kidding me.
maybe once. It was the doctor.
I did not see this coming.
House is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, no.
He figured
You
it
just
out.
hear people sobbing with the kids getting sicker and sicker.
Oh, no. Just the idea of a medical drama in front of a live studio audience, just like blood splurt. like, you're like, oh, can't really get a good view from here of what they're operating on, but I bet it's good.
I think it would work. I'm telling you, I was laughing so hard yesterday. You know, like, I knew when I acted like Mongo McMichael, I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. And
Yeah.
these people got it to do something nice.
Yes.
You know, I wasn't overly surprised that Johnny disagreed with me. But when I said that he was a dirty player, Johnny brought up Merlin Olsen from the 1960s. I had no real defense because I never, remember him play in real time. But I've been laughing for 2 days about it. So I told Johnny that this morning. That I've been laughing my ass off since you brought up the term Merlin Olsen. Because I'm just going, Johnny and I are probably the only two people who know. Like even Earl sat there with a big slack jaw.
Earl.
But then Johnny goes, "Did you see the Mongo McMichael videotape?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to watch it. I've seen this shape that he's in, and it's horrifying." You know what I mean? And he was like, they held the phone up to his ear and let Richard Dent tell him, and we think we saw him smile, so he does understand.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh God, this is to make the the followers that are doing this feel better. It's like, you ever see, like, when a school, if a little kid has cancer, and then everybody in the school and the dads shave their heads, and then they all feel like they're good people. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
That's how I see this story.
You feel like it's more of a self-serving thing because it makes you feel good. Because I feel like if I was going to have to shave my head because of cancer, I feel like I would be like, I'd like to like own it a little bit. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, we all shave our head. It's just like, hey, I'm the one going through this. So just let me have this one thing, my own cancer.
Yeah. You feel like if you went back to school with your shaved head, somebody was like, "Hey, man, thanks for your support." You're like, "That's not my support. It's real to me, damn it." But I knew two reasons I thought it was self-serving. One, because, the guy was Jim Belushi's friend. It tells you everything you need to know about him.
Sure.
And then two was because Johnny was on the bandwagon. And Johnny is Zeitgeist guy.
He loves it.
Yeah, he's got his finger on the pulse for sure.
But I will say he did stump me with Merlin Olsen. I have no idea whether. The guy was on Little House on the Prairie, so I would have assumed he wasn't a dirty player. He was part of the Fearsome Foursome, and I remember we had. And this is back in the Ron and Ron days. Deacon Jones was on to promote something, and so Fast Eddie made up a song. To Deacon Blues, but to Deacon Jones, right? Mm-hmm. And Deacon Jones is like, "Oh man, where did this song come from?" And we were like, and he loved it because his name was in it. And he had never, of course, heard Steely Dan because he was a black guy from the 1960s.
That's So cute.
Rosie Greer, also part of the Fearsome Foursome, and Rosie Greer was the guy next to Bobby Kennedy the night that he was shot and reached out and grabbed the gun and broke Sirhan's thumb. I always
Holy
remember
shit.
that from when I was a little kid, yeah.
That's wild.
So 3 of the 4 became very famous, and I couldn't tell you who the 4th one was.
And then the other one.
Probably
And
Montgomery
the rest.
Michael. Yeah. He was the professor and Marianne of that group. But I woke up this morning and I was laughing so hard because I did have no defense for Merlin Olsen was a dirty football player, so why not let Mungo in? But also, let me just say that even though I said what I said, no Hall of Fame means shit anymore. None of them do.
No.
Does
It's all
it
made
feel
up.
like? Does it kind of feel like nothing means anything anymore?
I don't want to say yes, but I can't think of one thing off the top of my head. That
It's
means a
heading that
goddamn
way.
thing. Yeah.
It's heading
Just
that way for
doesn't
sure.
feel like anything means anything.
Like, you don't get an Oscar bump anymore.
No.
Nope.
Look at the whale.
Yeah.
He got a short part screaming.
Yeah.
And he was still the whale. He was the same weight.
And in a movie
Is-
that
I
I
gotta watch this.
disliked, I went, well, here's the worst part of a movie I disliked. That's how it felt seeing him there. I think I would have just been a little bit more like there's things that I saw that were good and things that were bad, but once he showed up, it just went full thumbs down. Like then I had to lean into everything that I disliked about it.
I will. I did like seeing the old cars, and the cinematography was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I
And,
like marrying women and then killing them for $25,000.
And by the way, that's not a spoiler if you haven't seen the movie. They pretty much set it up immediately
Yeah.
for you. It's going to be the whole rest of the 3.5 hours you're going to spend.
What would that movie be better in front of a live studio audience?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it would have. And when you just hear people go, how long has it been? How much more of this?
I need to pee really, really bad.
Is it just me or is Leo's teeth weird? I just want to know why. Why?
Earl's only an hour into it. How do you feel about your hour, Earl?
I think the pacing was very slow. I agree with you. Lily Gladstone is amazing in this, and
I wouldn't say amazing, but she did her job with all
Yeah.
those movie stars, and I thought I would have something to point out about her, but
Yeah.
her acting is suffering. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
just suffering
She stays in a state of suffering,
for
physically and
at
emotionally.
least the last 2/3 of
Yeah.
the movie. And again, we don't know why she fell for Leo. You know what I mean?
No.
There was no reason to.
There really wasn't
It was the
any
teeth.
reason to.
His hair was
But-
also greasy.
It was. It was quite greasy.
Should have cast
Man,
me in
it
this
just-
movie then.
Chris, you have beautiful hair. You just don't wash it.
No.
When
not
you
supposed to
want to
wash
take
it
care
every
of it, it looks very nice.
Why don't you make sure you shower up before you take your lady friend, your special lady friend, out to a prefix meal where you have to sit at a long table with strangers?
Please don't sit. Please let me get a corner. Please let me get a corner. Fuck.
There are no corners. They just take the regular restaurant seating and
Yes.
turn it into wedding seating.
It's so uncomfortable. I worked at a restaurant in Brooklyn. It was very popular, and of course, Valentine's Day was insane. And we just did back-to-back reservations, and our manager said that we had to tell them that they had a time limit. And we said,
Oh, yeah.
I can't do that. That's so uncomfortable. And they're like, when they make the reservation, let them know they're in and out in an hour. And I'm like, I just feel like that's weird to do.
I'm going
but
to be
okay.
honest. I don't think that would bother me. I would feel relieved. You know
Would
what
you?
I mean? Yeah, I would feel relieved 100% because, I like to smoke.
But here's the thing. It's not like I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I'm telling you, most people, many people who go out to restaurants have a problem with it. Like, they don't want to feel rushed. There's people who, like, if you pick up their plate too soon, if you drop the check too soon, they're like, what, are you rushing us out of here? You're trying to flip this table? And they'll just say it. They're like freaked out that
But
they
why
feel
not
rushed.
say yes? It's Friday night. You're not flipping this table at a off restaurant. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
only going to do that at places where you were lucky enough to get a reservation. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
did you expect a table when you showed up at your time? Yes.
Right. And you couldn't
don't like
have
to be
it.
told you're waiting 30 minutes because people were sitting in front of empty coffee cups. I'll go over there my fucking self. It's like somebody sitting in a movie theater after the movie stopped for 40 minutes after. That would be insane.
Like, and it really depends on the restaurant owner, but like for the owner of my restaurant, like they wanted you to clear plates and they didn't want dirty plates sitting on a table. Empty dirty plates looks bad, so clear it. But other people are like, it's rude to clear some people's plates if other people are still eating. I'm like, I don't know, made up by you. Just like he made up he wants them cleared. I don't feel like this is a societal norm like you think it is.
People are just insane assholes. That's what it boils down to.
They're tense. There are people who go to restaurants and they're waiting to get mad. Like you can see that they're just like waiting for something to take too long, waiting to feel rushed, waiting for something to be wrong in their order. They're just, and I'm like, but why do you come out if you're this sensitive? If we could ruin your night, like why would you come here? Why would you pick your special Valentine's Day dinner?
I want to be served. This night means everything to us.
We love
It is.
Valentine's Day.
This is going to save our marriage.
I mean, everyone knows Valentine's Day and Mother's Day are the worst days to go out.
They're
They're
terrible
worse
days to go.
than New Year's Eve even.
Yeah, they're really bad for
yeah.
that reason. It's just like, it's almost interesting because there are 2 days where it should be the man's responsibility to figure out what we're doing with the night. And they're just like, I guess we'll go out to eat. That's why. Like, they're not going to cook for mom and they're not going to cook for their wife. And that's why they're huge restaurant days.
I also think it's bad when the moms expect something from the children. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just know that they're not going to come up with anything good.
No.
I think that only children are the only ones that are happy because the Valentine's Day in elementary school is pretty stress-free. You have all the cards. They tell you have to give out cards to everybody in your class.
It's required.
You know what I mean?
We
Yeah.
have a number. And even different from when I was a kid, they go, don't even bother putting the kids' names because we don't want you to get mixed up and miss someone. Just make 23 cards and have your kids sign their name. Here's the number of students, just sign them and they'll pass
Wow.
them out. Like, no one gets left out here.
I didn't know that they had such small classrooms. Mine were always like 34 cards. But you know what's embarrassing? I remember like in first and second showing my mom how many Valentines I got. And she was like, oh, you're very popular. And I'd be like, yeah. But really, everyone had to give those out.
Right.
You know?
That was
And I'd be
required.
like, look at this. I choose you. And it's a train.
Why? I don't know. But like, seriously, I don't think I realized it really until my kids is that I'm like, oh, Valentine's Day is a kid's holiday because no adult
100%.
should be taking this seriously. But kids are like, we're going to have a party and we're giving out cards and we draw hearts. There's lots of crafts involved for them. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And plus, you get candy and shit like that. You get candy and maybe a cupcake at school.
And you're right that it's elementary school because I was talking to my friend who is a middle school teacher in the city, and she was saying, oh, my God, this is the worst day because it's chaos because, it's organized in elementary school. Everybody has to give the cards. Well, there's nothing like that. There's no Valentine's Day party. There's no everyone hand out your Valentines. So it's just like this girl's walking around with a giant teddy bear. This boy's got a dozen roses, and you have nothing. And it causes drama and hurt feelings and sadness. And like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, when it's organized and it's chill, and they're like, no, don't go out of your way for anyone. All the kids can have a good time. But by middle school, it's just like, well, I guess I'm not the most popular girl.
I mean, I will tell you this. I think I was the first kid to discover that those little candy hearts with writing on them taste like chalk.
They are
And
chalky.
I'd be like, I honestly don't want to eat another one of these candy hearts.
Yeah.
I like reading them.
Sure.
Fun.
And it's fun to hand one for a
Yeah.
special meaning
Right.
to your friend. But actually consuming them, it's like when you're a kid, you will eat any candy, but as you're eating it,
100%.
you're going, man, this isn't a good candy.
I don't want
Whereas
this
now
candy.
as an adult, you're
And
like,
like-
oh my God, no, don't give me that.
I remember even going, do the colors even taste different? You know what I mean? I
No.
feel like the
All
white
chalk.
and the pink and the green are just candy hearts.
Do
Just food
you
coloring.
do you have a go-to for if you are given an assorted box of chocolates?
The CVS
What's-
one.
Yeah, like just like a Russell Stover's.
Russell
like-
Stover's, baby.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
like one of those
I'll-
kind of.
All right. I think you can only come out on top twice. One, if you luck out with caramel, right? The caramel, as some people say. And then if you at least have a nut in there, there's some kind of texture difference.
You
Other
do
than
want a
that-
nut one.
You're on your own. There's no difference.
See, I like that I enjoy some of the least popular ones because they're often left behind and it's exciting. Like if one is like a coconut crunch inside, I'm thrilled because I know everyone else is leaving it.
It doesn't bother you that a piece of the corner is bitten off before you got to it?
No, I don't mind it. I like to scavenge through and go, oh, this one has a weird strawberry cream. I'll have it. Someone else thought that was vile.
So people feel like, oh, I don't like it, and then put it back in the box. That doesn't happen at any other time of the year with anything.
No, you just suck it up and you finish whatever you just take a bite out of.
Okay, here's something that kind of annoys me about an assorted chocolate. So there's the ones that have caramel in it, but then they're just like, this one's square and this one's round. And you're like,
Right.
why'd you just give these different shapes? These obviously should have different fillings.
Am I crazy that I remember that one out of every box, had like a Butterfinger thing inside of it, or am I just wishing?
I know what you
that
mean.
took
Yeah,
place?
that there was one that almost had a, like there's one that's kind of toffee-ish and crunch in it. But you know what? The more I think about it, like the one that I love but oftentimes gets taken, so I'm left with the coconut scraps, is the one that's like the bumpy surface, so it's round, bumpy surface, and it's got the almonds in it. That's the
Yeah.
best one.
Yeah.
Like that's truly the best one.
There's also one sometimes that is like just chocolate over a lump of peanuts, like just like
Right, yes.
and I don't know what the name of that is, some kind of cluster
Yes.
bullshit.
I think
but
you're right.
I would go right to that first.
Oh, and I also like one that I know people find very gross, and that's the one with just like a gooey neon red cherry.
No,
All
I
right.
don't like that.
What if we did like a heart thing, right? But we just put like Hershey's miniatures in there. I bet people would fucking love that.
Yeah, if I had ones just heart-shaped Mr. Good bars, I would be thrilled.
Today's Ash Wednesday, and St. Patrick's is doing heart-shaped ashes,
Aw,
which is
so
kind of like a little
cute.
play on words, still a heart-shaped ash. But they say it's really getting the people back in. It's like their version of Taylor Swift.
Nice.
It's a really big spike right now.
Get the word
It,
out.
it really is inconvenient, though, to have Ash Wednesday fall on the chocolate holiday. Because the start of Lent, you should not be eating sweets.
I'm literally pushing Lent off for maybe
Well,
till
yes, yeah.
after Sunday. I'll
Yeah,
start
once
my
the
Lent
snow
then.
melts, maybe. I'm gonna still be needing to eat my sweets if there's snow on the ground.
Today it was like you got snow on the ground and it's really cold, and it
know.
feels like all the cold is coming from the ground up. You know what I mean?
It's crazy because
Like it's blowing up your skirt.
I took my kids out yesterday and we went sledding, and it was just a beautiful day. It was the snow was covered, but you know that thing of like when it's like newly snowed and it doesn't feel cold. You're just like comfortable and it's just really pretty. Today was the opposite. This was hard, cold snow on the ground, and it was just bitter.
Yeah,
Hard wind.
and it's a hard. We got a break here, kids. We're right back. It's the Bennington Show.
Faction Talk 103. It's the Bennington Show. Faction Talk 103. It's the Bennington Show.